Hi, welcome to another BRB Adventures. I'm in my own stomping grounds here today. I used to come up here quite often and look for firewood and just drive around these roads. I hunted in here back when I used to hunt, but I don't hunt anymore. Well, not with a gun or a bow, but with my camera. Anyways, I thought today would be a good day to come out and go for a walk, but as you can see, our valley is full of smoke again, so it makes the trudging a little difficult. But I'm on a day hike here, just cruising around, seeing what I can see, just looking for things that are out of place. This is really close to what we used to call the Hefley Creek Dump, but now they've made a name that's probably a little bit more politically correct and called the Eco Center. It's still a dump. But anyways, people used to come in here and they would just dump their garbage wherever. If they came up and the dump was closed, they used to have a kind of a weird schedule where it was only open 3 days a week. And so if they came up with a truckload of stuff, they used to come in here and just offload it in this area. I see it's been all cleaned up for the most part, so that's good. They are not doing that anymore, but they've also blocked the road off, so you can't do that. I'm just going to do some trudging around today, kind of start heading off the beaten path here, off the trail, and see if I come across any interesting items, whether it's plants or weird looking configurations of who knows what. When you're out having an adventure, you kind of make it an adventure. So, you know, look at the little things, look at the bugs, look at the bees. Stay out of the way of the bees. So they don't like to be bothered. Observing is fine. But anyways, I'm rambling. I'll continue on here and see what I can come up with. Hopefully I find something interesting for you guys to look at. So I'll catch up to you in a little while. See you in a bit. What did I say? It wasn't even 10 minutes ago. My shoelace come undone. So I put my foot up on the stump here to tie up my shoe, and I actually accidentally kicked away a bit of bark, and lo and behold, in this old stump is a bee's nest. So I just backed away and give them their space. I'll find someplace else to tie up my shoe. There's not many coming out right now, but there were when I bumped it. But I'll just leave these guys alone and let them get on with their business. Thankfully it wasn't a huge nest and I didn't get completely swarmed. But yeah, you always got to be careful. There goes another one in there. So, yeah, there's another one. See? So, take heed. I didn't even notice it was there, but yellow jackets love to make nests in the ground. You can just be walking along and not even realize it and step on a nest, and then you're in trouble. Some little deer didn't make it. That's a pretty small jawbone. Not 100% sure it's a deer. Pretty well, probably 85% chance it's a deer. Coyote or other canine would have a different shaped teeth, but looks like those teeth are meant for grinding. But it's really small. Oh well, some Bambi bit it around here. What's wrong with people? Why can't you come out here and have fun and everything, but take your garbage home with you? It just pisses me off when I see stuff like this. It's like, how hard is it to pick up some plastic and take it back with you? At least it's not a bunch of beer cans laying around. I find this rather interesting. Like I said, just walking through the bush, come across stuff. You look at this here. It's like Did somebody have a fire here? Burnt sticks. Kind of organized, but I would think no. This isn't somewhere that a person had a fire here to cook or to camp, or kind of out in the middle of, just out in the bush here, and the wood's not organized enough. I would say this was a lightning strike. This area has probably been slashed at one time, so the wood's laying down because they cut the trees down. They want to cut the little trees down so the bigger ones mature faster, and there's not so much competition for the nutrients. But the way the earth is scorched, and it's just the wood that has been laying down and burnt. This is how forest fires start. Interesting. And these plants here, they're mulleins. I'm going to talk about mulleins in a minute. I'm going to find a bigger one and explain some stuff to you. Ah, yes, a mullein. Kind of, in a way, looks like a piece of corn, but it isn't corn. I don't remember if it's edible or not. Like, I know the leaves are very velvety, but I also know that if you touch the flower, that top part there, if you touch that with your hand, like I've seen kids just walk along and just grab it and make the little pods fly. Well, problem is that if you get the pollen on your hands and then you touch your eye, you'll get temporary blindness. So it's a plant to try and avoid. Don't try and touch it if you don't have to. But yeah, it's called a mullein, and it grows in the arid places. This is Kamloops area, so it's quite arid, but it also grows in the United States, and it kind of grows like this in groups with others. Yeah, not a really dangerous plant, just something to be aware of if you're in the bush and you see somebody touch it. You got to get them to give their hands a wash as soon as you can. Another nature tip for you. Okay, I'll touch base when I find something else interesting to talk about. Here's a really good specimen. This one's over 6 foot tall. They get big. Here's something that is mildly interesting. You can see how this dirt is all beat down here. That tells me that something's been walking around or stirring around in here for whatever reason. But then when I go up the hill a little bit, there's a den. It's not a very big hole though. I don't know. I would think fox, but that's pretty small even for a fox. Unless there's another entrance here and that's just for pups or something. But I can't tell how old the tracks are here. But they look like little dog footprints. Interesting. I'll look around here and see if there's any other sign. Here's another look at the hole from the top side. You can see it's pretty well hidden. Hi there. Well, I'm continuing my adventure. I found a nice little place to sit down and have a bit of a rest. And I'm just, I'm on a high point here, and I'm kind of observing my surroundings. I am definitely in bear country. There's no doubt about that. I've seen bear in here previously, and because there's the eco center, or otherwise known as the dump, not far from here, it does tend to attract bears. The smells, bears can smell food a long ways away, so they can smell garbage a long ways away, and they try and bury it, do what they can, but it's still a garbage dump. So there is a good chance I could see a bear in here. I've spent over 30 years in the bush, probably even more than that. If I don't really want to admit how many years I've been in the bush, but it's been a long time. And I've been in very remote places, and I've been in not so remote places. But I'm comfortable enough in the bush that I always tease on the forums, whatever. Maybe you can call me a troll, I don't know. But we can't carry handguns in Canada. We're not allowed to, unless you have a very specific permit, and then you take that handgun, and that permit is good to take it from your house to the range. Don't stop off and get beer or anything with a gun in your car, because if you get stopped, you'll get your permit revoked and you'll never get another one. So the rules in Canada are very strict to have a firearm, a sidearm. You cannot pack a gun in your car, a handgun. You can pack long guns, hunting season or not, you can have a long gun. It's not questioned. We don't really need guns here for self-protection, but well, at least the majority of us don't. So the only people that are really allowed to have guns are law enforcement. Long story short. So what do? Well, I have enough confidence in the bush that I think I can defend myself with a water bottle. It's just, it's heavy enough, you know. Throw a little of this in their eyes, just startle them, maybe give you enough just to duck out of the way. Depending on what bear I come across, if it's a black bear or a brown bear, you want to get out of their way. And I say brown bear, I don't mean the Alaska browns, I mean the brown bears we see around here, which are actually black bears, but they look brown. A grizzly bear, the best thing to do is roll up in a ball and protect your neck, protect your head the best you can, and let the threat go away. Whether they'll continue to attack, that depends on your lucky day. But a brown bear, black bear, technically they're black bears, you got to defend yourself. So you got to get a stick, or you got to fight them back. You got to make yourself as big as you can, and even charge them, bluff charging or whatever. You might have a better chance of surviving. I wouldn't consider using a water bottle or water as a deterrent for a bear. I just like to make a funny with my American friends that think that in order to go into the wilderness you have to have a gun on your side. But what I do have is I have pepper spray. This pepper spray is as you can see, it's a pretty big can. What is it? How many ounces is this? 325 grams. It doesn't say ounces, even though it's an American product. But there's a warning label on here. It's an eye irritant. So in order to use pepper spray on a bear, you need to make sure that you're not shooting this into the wind. So you got all these situations that you got to consider. Is he charging you? Is he a real threat? So you're going to spray yourself. If you spray into the wind with this, you're going to spray yourself in the face too. So that being said, you gotta be familiar with how it works. And for God's sake, don't be like those German tourists that it was in one of our national parks. It was either Banff or Lake Louise Park, and they took out the bear spray thinking it's a repellent, and they sprayed it all over their tent and all over their kids, thinking it would protect them from the bear. It's not what it's meant for. It's not mosquito repellent. It doesn't repel them that way. So don't be spraying this on your kids. They won't be happy with you. So yeah, it's a last resort, but it's pretty easy to use. You just pull the pin off of here, and then you just squirt, press down on that trigger, and it'll shoot a big long spray. It'll spray quite a ways. And the other thing is that it's handy is this little clip here is made of a material that actually glows in the dark. So if it's dark in your tent and you're just fumbling around trying to find this thing, before you try and find a flashlight, this little tab should glow, so you can see that it's there. But I pack this when I go hiking. I do most of my hiking by myself, so I always let somebody know where I am and what time I'm supposed to be back or whatever. But so I'm safe that way. Like, at least they know what general area to come looking for me if I ever do run into trouble. But in here in Canada, we don't have to worry about defending ourselves against people. I've been in the bush enough around mountain lions. I've carried mountain lions out of the bush on my back after they've been shot. So I know what it's like to hunt mountain lions. I've hunted bears, I've hunted moose, I've hunted deer. One of the animals that probably people don't realize is a moose. A moose can get very ornery too and try and stomp you to death, but as YouTube probably has a few clips of that. I don't have any clips of me being attacked by a moose, but they're out there. Anyways, just a little quick little ditty on how we can defend ourselves here. And the rare chance that we do come across a bear or spook a bear. Every time I've ever seen a bear, they see you or they smell you and they're going the other direction. I have never ever come across a bear that wanted to stand its ground or was any kind of a threat. They're more afraid of you than you are of them. And I've come across them riding horses, I've come across them on foot, and no, they just want to get the heck out of your sight as fast as they can. I've never had one that turned around and charged. Just want to quickly show a difference between two different tree species here. This is the tree I'm looking at right here. This is a Douglas fir, and a neat point to make out is the moss that's growing on the branches here. It's fresh. It's new growth, but you can see how brilliant green. It's almost neon green, and then the older stuff kind of is somewhat less bright green. It fades. Must be the sun. However, I digress. This is a fir tree, and this tree over here, this is a Ponderosa pine tree. Now there are other pine trees in the area, but the Ponderosa has bark that looks like jigsaw puzzle pieces. And these trees get to be huge. They're a very large tree, and they grow relatively fast, but it's getting harder and harder to find trees of this size anymore. This is quite a large tree. And on my way out, I'll see if I can't try and find a lodgepole pine, and they don't hardly have any girth or height to them at all. They're just, well, we call them pecker poles, but oh, I can see one now. There's one over here. It never grows very big around. It grows fairly tall, but it's always so spindly. And all three of these species, they'll get the fir trees, the pine trees, the Ponderosa pine trees. That's called lodgepole or jack pine. But you'll get all these species in the same area, but as you start to gain elevation, you lose the pine trees and start getting into spruce trees. So spruce trees and fir trees can grow together, and fir trees and pine trees can grow together, but it's not very common to have a pine tree and a spruce tree grow together because they grow at different elevations. Interesting. A cedar tree. With a fir tree. It's not typical for cedar to grow here. It must have escaped out of somebody's. Well, like I said before, people dump trash here, so must have been a seedling or something that got tossed off of a truck and some yard waste, and it's taken. But look how dry it is here. It's all fir trees, pine trees, and mulleins. I don't quite understand how a cedar can survive here, but it seems to be. I find that curious. I'm used to seeing juniper grow here, as those are wild. Those are junipers. They grow really low to the ground here. They don't get very tall because it's so dry. But look how dry it is here. Look at this. This is a very dry place. Cedars typically like it where it's wet. Huh. Interesting. So this is the view. I'm up the destination I planned to get to today. As you can see, the valley is really smoky. I don't want to exert myself too much as the smoke is so thick. It's actually quite hard to breathe. But I was here years and years ago. I was hoping I could come across this. So that is where I'm pointing my camera now. I've shot a video over there in the spring. I hiked into the edge of that big huge field you can sort of see there, and I was right on the right hand side of that, in the very finger where I set up my tripod, and I did a closing for my video. So I've been over there. Now I'm across the valley, and I'm looking here at the. You can see it's very arid here. We've been having a big problem with fires, but so I made it to where I thought this place was. Now I'll mark it on my GPS so I can find it again with much ease. But this bluff here runs along, and then for quite a ways. It's a sheer drop, but there is a kind of a side way to get into it. It's not a trail, it's just bushwhacking. I think I found this place when I was hunting one time. Just wanted to come up here and have lunch. Okay guys, all part of my adventure. I'll be talking to you soon.